guys. Callum came and said hello. A couple of other people said quick hellos. It was loads of people that we sat like chatting to as well. Brian and Anne got engaged since last time I'd seen them, so congratulations to them. Their wedding's on the eve of the grand final, so I said you'll have a great honeymoon in Manchester then. He did say they're going to Mexico as well before the World Cup starts. I was chatting to a really interesting guy on the first day. He was sat next to. He was wearing a PNG top, so I said, "Who do you support when you're not wearing a PNG top?" And he said Wigan, and I said, "How do you manage to wear that top then when it's got a red V on it, even though the rest of it's yellow?" But it turned out he'd worked for the pipeline company that sponsors the PNG national team. He'd done some project work for them in Papua New Guinea, so he had a bit of a backstory there. So that was really interesting. Some of the stuff eye-raising stuff about what happens in the jungle there.
It's the joy of Magic Weekend that you get the opportunity to sit and chat with rugby league fans from all different clubs, many who've got very different backgrounds. I was chatting to two Wakefield fans who were travelling up from Nottingham to come, and the guy was from Dunfermline in Scotland originally with a broad Scottish accent. So, just hearing the backstories of how the hell did you get to support Wakefield, etc. It's great fun. It's terrific.
There was a bloke sat near us wearing a Saints shirt, and he had two little lads with him that looked like his sons, because they looked quite similar looking to each other. And one of them was wearing a Warrington shirt, and one of them was wearing a Huddersfield shirt. And Liam had said, "What do you think's going on there?" And I said, the only explanation can be that they're not from anywhere around rugby league territory, and they really like the sport, and they thought to make it more fun, they'll pick different teams. That can be the only explanation. Anyway, coming back from a beer, I sort of said to him, and he got up to let me go past, and I sort of said, "So, how's this happened?" And he answered in this broad Northern Irish accent, and already I knew how it happened. And then another talking point that I wanted to mention. Chatting to a guy on Sunday, we were talking about why don't they take the clock off after kicks? Because this whole sat around waiting for 80 seconds business, it's tedious, isn't it? And everyone moans about it, but everyone's team does it. But, we moan about stuff that's within the rules or what have you, we do. But I think this is an obvious one to change. It contributes to that stopping the clock in the last 5 minutes thing that we do after the kick's been taken to try and extend the game to have more action and drama at the key points in the game. Why don't we just do it with kicks too?
Yeah, I agree with that, Mark.
And if they say, because they'll take ages over it anyway, well, put a shot clock in it as well, so then it's quick and not taking time out of the game.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
I just think do more to make it so we can score more points, maybe. But yeah, that's one to consider. Maybe I need a poll on that one too. But we've done 2 hours on Magic Weekend. So,
boom.
Did you have any other things to mention that you?
I didn't. I loved it. I absolutely love Magic Weekend. It's one of the highlights of my sporting year, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking to a few people from the northeast on the bus and stuff going in and that sort of stuff, because it was clear that there's a love for the game there. I saw a few Thunder shirts, and I had 3 conversations with Newcastle Thunder fans about the game on the Friday night against Bradford. They told me more than I knew about the game otherwise, but yeah, that was great to see too. So great weekend all round, apart from my team losing and your team winning. In the predictions, I went 3 out of 6. Sarah went 2 out of 6, because Warrington did us both. In the host Super, you're still top. You still have a strong lead, David, but you got the wooden spoon this week. I'm second, and I had the yellow cap this week. Sarah's third and Alan's fourth. You're still top as well in the main Super Room. You're doing really well. Joe Newman has the yellow cap this week, so well done to Joe. And then in the Fantasy League, Neil Ormston's still at the top. Simon Andrew Arthur, who was our early leader, wasn't he, in the Fantasy League? He top scored this week with a really impressive 822, so well done to Simon.
Bloody hell, that takes some doing, that. Particularly on what was, I thought, a very difficult week to predict.
Well, especially with Walmsley out.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, that's the Magic Weekend wrapped up. We're now going to move into other results. other results time, and it was round 18 in the Championship, which did start on Friday night. There was a televised game, Newcastle 53, Bradford 10. Josh Woods dominating that game. It was Sheffield 18, Batley 20 in a very close game. We got a fan viewing on this one.
We did. Callum Percy, 99, your Wigan drummer, came with a view. Strong start from Batley, scoring 3 unconverted tries from the off. They then took their foot off the gas, and Sheffield soon came back in to make it 12-12. Batley then scored just before half-time to make it 12-18. In the second half, Batley had a converted penalty, but Sheffield were by far the better side and brought it to 18-20. But Batley managed to come up with a win despite having a man in the sin bin. Sounds like a really exciting game.
Close one. Surprisingly close, really, with Sheffield's recent form. Workington 0, Lee 66. Not a surprise and not close. Widnes 20, Dewsbury 16. So close for Dewsbury, but Widnes continue their good form recently. Barrow 40, Whitehaven 6. Barrow clearly are the head team in Cumbria by some distance right now. London 22, Featherstone 42. Dave Cantrell I went for a beer with after the games on Sunday, and we chatted a little bit about London's plight this year. But I think that this is a commendable result for them. They actually scored quite a few points against a Fev side that are way better than them as things stand. Yeah. And then the Monday night televised game was Halifax 36, York 10. So Halifax are in good nick at the moment, aren't they, as well? What about the standings, David?
Yep, so Lee are top on 34. Featherstone are 3 back on 31. Then there's a 5-point gap to Halifax, Batley and York on 26 points. Barrow in 6 have 23, and then the race for the last the last two top 8 spots has Bradford 7th on 18 and Widnes 8th on 16. Sheffield and Newcastle are 9th and 10th on 14. Whitehaven are 9th on Whitehaven are on 9, London on 7, Dewsbury on 4, and Workington still just have 2 points. There's still quite a bit to play for in those last two playoff.
There is, isn't there? You'd think sort of Bradford down to Newcastle. It's 4 teams chasing 2 spots. I think
so.
Whitehaven, I think, are probably just on the outer of that, but they're safe. I would bank on, unless Dewsbury finds something out of nowhere that they haven't shown so far this year. And London, let's hope London pick up a couple more wins and get themselves safe, because it'd be devastating for the talent pathway if they went down to the League One. Big news story out of the Championship was Bradford Bulls have appointed Mark Dunning as the club's new permanent head coach with immediate effect. He signs a contract until November 2023, taking over from John Keir, who left the club earlier in April. Dunning was assistant to Keir and initially taken over as interim head coach. Obviously has done well enough despite a couple of disappointing results, notably the most recent one. Chief Executive Jason Hurst also confirmed that former Great Britain boss Brian Noble has returned to the club on an informal consultancy basis. I mean, the last thing they need is Brian Noble coming in and ruining the finances again, like he has at every other club he's been at since he left Wigan.
The black kiss of death.
No, he brings a lot of experience and obviously a successful past at the club. But Mark Dunning being given his chance. Yeah,
which is, I don't know really Mark Dunning or anything about him, but good for him, and he's certainly got some work to do. Looking at the most recent results for Bradford,
it seemed to get a positive response when it was announced. Obviously, there was the whole "did Nigel Wood run away from the fans after the game at Newcastle" and stuff chat as well. Not ideal. So there is a bit of a mess still at Bradford that he has to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, there were a few Bradford fans I was chatting to sort of during the Wakefield game. None of them were massively optimistic, I have to say, which was a bit disappointing. I always keep an eye out for Bradford. I used to love going watching Saints play up there, and I think it would be great if they could start to see a bit more success again. They had such a great start to the Super League era. Obviously not built on a little bit of sand rather than rock, but it would be good, I think, for the sport if we could get Bradford, or if Bradford could find a way to get themselves back onto the upward slope again.
Yep, for sure. Featherstone fullback Mark Corella is out for the rest of the season with ruptured ACL, which probably hampers Bradford as well, because they'll bring Pickersgill back, won't they?
Yes, and Carl Foster has signed a new 2-year deal with Barrow Raiders.
And winger Lachlan Walmsley and halfback Louis Jouffre have signed new 2-year deals with Halifax. Into League One, where it was round 14. Cornwall 10, Doncaster 44 was the R-League game on Saturday. Midlands 16, North Wales 46 as the Crusaders found a way back to form, it looks like. Hunslet 54, West Wales 6, and Oldham 24, Rochdale 50. Those scores are missing the Scholars against the Cougars game, which was cancelled 18 hours before it was meant to kick off. The League One fixture down at the New River Stadium. The Scholars were unable to provide adequate medical cover required under RFL's operational rules. I read just before we started that it's now been awarded as I think a 48-0 walkover for the Cougars for the Scholars being unable to fulfil that fixture, which isn't a good thing at all. We criticised West Wales for something similar earlier in the season, and to be honest, the Scholars have been around for twice as long as West Wales and are in fucking London.
Yeah.
So lots of sporting clubs and medical facilities close to them. I don't know what the circumstances are. I haven't read into it at all, but I still think it's a real shame and a real negative. Big worry.
It is. Well, it's inexcusable. And clearly the RFL thought the same way by awarding the 2 points to Keighley. I'm assuming, Mark, that Keighley's now 26 points.
Yes, it should be, yeah.
So Keighley stays top on 26. North Wales and Rochdale both have 20. The Swinton and Doncaster both have 18 points. Hunslet complete the top 6 on 15. Oldham have 7. Midlands and Scholars have 6. Cornwall and West Wales have 2.
Other League One news, just a couple of points to note. Keighley have announced their centre Charlie Graham has signed a new deal until the end of 2023 with an option of a further year, and Jai Hitchcock has returned to League One club Rochdale on loan for the remainder of this season from Lee. He had a short spell with him earlier this season, and now he's there on a more longer term deal, because let's face it, he wasn't going to be getting into that Lee side. And, he might as well work for his money. Wheelchair Super League, there was kind of a magic of sorts at the basketball centre for the wheelchair game this weekend. We're only going to talk about the phase 2 of the top level of the Super League games, but there's plenty of other games as well going on this weekend in the other lower parts of the league. But in the Wheelchair Super League, Leeds 48, Halifax 46 in a very exciting encounter between two top Yorkshire sides, and Wigan 54, London Roosters 12.
Very good. Shall we move into the NRL, Mark?
Yeah, round 17 was one of the abbreviated rounds, the last of those I think this year, with Origin 3 being played. Well, by the time you're listening to this, it's probably kicking off. Sharks 28, Storm 6.
And we have an NRL review from NRL Review. And I'm not quite sure I completely follow the gist of this, Mark, but I'm going to read it out as it was.
Well, normally I read them, don't I?
Yeah.
So
do you want to read it?
It's fun to have someone else read them, to be completely honest.
Oh, right, okay, I'll give it a go. The fog machine was broken and skies were clear, so the mist was sparse. That must mean something.
Yeah, it means the mist are his nickname for the storm, aren't they?
Right, okay. Without Herman, and in the return match for Aldi Kevin Bacon, they looked disjointed. The Shark Week could smell blood in the water, and even with the late withdrawal of Aldi Heath Ledger, they were way too good. In the end, the backs carved up, including ramen noodles and mutilation. There was no misting on the parade. That is, I mean, I know we
understood the French better.
Yeah.
It was the Knights 28, the Rabbitohs 40.